Back away from that hydrant, right now.
Hey, hold on, I'm actually a firefighter, sir.
A firefighter? Where's your uniform or truck, pal?
Listen, I'm just jogging. I saw it was broken.
Stop with the attitude. Turn around, hands back.
Don't touch me. Call my captain, engine 22.
Please.
Think about that. A firefighter sees a broken hydrant while on a run. He uses his expert training to fix it, stopping a potential disaster before it can happen, and for that, he gets arrested. This is Andre Jackson, 36 years old. A fire equipment specialist, level 3, out of Engine House 22, with a solid 12 years of service under his belt. He's the go-to guy for hydrants, the one who literally co-authored the city's inspection manual. This man's entire job is to make sure fire hydrants work so that people don't die in house fires. And Officer Mark Riley just slapped cuffs on him for doing that exact job. Fixing a hydrant that could have failed in an emergency and cost lives in the very rich neighborhood that called the cops on him. Once the fire department gets out there and inspects that hydrant, once they confirm it was broken and that Andre fixed it perfectly, and once Captain David Miller storms into the police station demanding they release his firefighter, this wrongful arrest is going to end up costing the city $4.2 million. It's going to prove that being a black professional, an expert in your field, apparently looks exactly like vandalism to some people. Go ahead and leave a comment if you've ever seen a situation where everyday actions are treated like crimes just because of who's doing them. What you're about to see is how doing your professional duty can turn into a criminal charge, how one woman's baseless suspicion was valued more than a firefighter's actual credentials, and how saving a neighborhood from a serious fire risk ended with him in handcuffs. Andre Jackson was 36, and for him, fire prevention wasn't just a career. It was who he was. He'd been with the fire department for 12 years, starting as a rookie and climbing the ladder to become a fire equipment specialist level 3, which is the highest civilian rank you can get for fire suppression systems. He didn't just know hydrants, he knew them inside and out. He understood water pressure, valve mechanics, and how to spot a malfunction just by looking at it or hearing it. In his 12 years, he'd personally inspected over 3,000 hydrants, fixed hundreds of them, and even helped create the city's current maintenance rules. When other firefighters had a question about equipment, Andre was the guy they called. He was certified in fire science, hydraulics, and city water systems. He even taught equipment maintenance classes at the fire academy. He wasn't just good at his job, he was the expert. Every single morning at 6 a.m., Andre would go for a run. It was a 5-mile loop, the same path through his own neighborhood and the connecting wealthy area of Cedar Creek Estates. He'd only lived about a mile from Cedar Creek Estates for 4 months, but he had already run that route more than 40 times. He knew every street, every hydrant, every quiet corner of the early morning. He was so familiar with the route he could practically do it in his sleep. That's why on April 15th, at about 6:15 a.m., when a tiny detail was out of place, his expert eye noticed it right away. The hydrant on the corner of Cedar Creek Parkway and Maple Avenue was wobbling. Andre had run past it dozens of times. It was always rock solid, stable, and looked well-maintained. But that morning, as he jogged by, he saw the bonnet, the big cap on top, actually moving in the breeze. It was loose. Andre stopped his run, jogged back, and crouched down to look at it, with the kind of focus only someone who's inspected 3,000 of them could have. The bonnet was definitely loose. Its threads were stripped. The valve stem right below it was out of alignment. He could see water slowly seeping out from the base. And when Andre checked the pressure gauge, the reading was way off. This hydrant was on its way out. It hadn't failed completely yet, but it was failing. If a fire broke out and firefighters tried to hook up their hose and turn the valve, this hydrant wouldn't give them enough water pressure. It would be useless. And in a neighborhood like Cedar Creek Estates, with houses packed together worth $2 to $5 million each, a failed hydrant could be the difference between stopping a fire and watching several homes, or lives, go up in smoke. Andre pulled out his phone and started taking pictures of the loose bonnet, the crooked valve, and the pressure reading. It was standard procedure, just documentation. Then he scanned the area for the utility box. The city puts these boxes every few blocks, and they're filled with tools for emergency repairs on city equipment. Firefighters are all trained to know exactly where these boxes are. Andre knew. He walked about 15 feet over to a utility box on a telephone pole, opened it with the standard issue key all firefighters have, and took out the hydrant wrench. He wasn't on the clock. He was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. He wasn't getting paid for this. But he was a firefighter. And firefighters don't just ignore broken equipment that could get people killed. They fix it. So Andre fixed it. It took him all of 5 minutes. That's it. He tightened the bonnet, realigned the valve stem, and sealed the leak at the base. Then he tested the pressure by turning the valve just a crack to make sure the water flow was right. 5 minutes of professional work that could save millions in property, and maybe even lives. Andre was just about to get his phone out to call dispatch and report the fix when he heard a car roll up behind him. He looked over his shoulder and saw a police car, lights flashing, and he knew instantly before the cops even got out of their car. He knew because he was a black man in a fancy white neighborhood, kneeling next to city property with a big tool in his hand. And he knew that no matter what he said or what ID he showed them, there was a very real chance they just weren't going to believe him. Carol Peterson was 62, a retired executive who had lived in Cedar Creek Estates for 25 years. She'd paid $1.8 million for her house and saw herself as the neighborhood's unofficial watchdog. In the last 3 years, she had called the police 13 times to report suspicious persons. 9 of those calls were about people of color. Not a single one of them led to the discovery of an actual crime. But Carol kept calling because she felt like Cedar Creek Estates was her neighborhood, and people who didn't look like her simply didn't belong. Carol got up at 5:45 every morning, brewed her coffee, and sat at her front window to watch the street, waiting for her newspaper and keeping an eye out for anything she thought was out of place. At 6:15 a.m., she saw a black man in workout clothes stop at the fire hydrant on her corner. She watched him take out his phone and snap some pictures of it. Then he walked over to the utility box, opened it up, and grabbed a tool. Then he got on his knees by the hydrant and started working on it, turning the valve until water sprayed out for a second. Carol didn't see a firefighter doing his duty. She saw a black man messing with city property, and she picked up the phone to call 911. The call came into the dispatch center at 6:19 a.m. 911, what's your emergency? Yes, there's a suspicious black man tampering with city infrastructure on Cedar Creek Parkway. What is he doing, ma'am? He's at the fire hydrant on the corner. He got tools out of a utility box. He's doing something to the hydrant with a wrench. He opened it, and water came out. Is he in a city truck? Is he wearing a uniform? No, he's just in regular clothes, workout clothes. This doesn't seem official. It looks like he's vandalizing it. Or maybe he's a terrorist. What if he's trying to poison our water? Can you describe him? Carol said, black male, probably in his 30s, wearing running clothes, a dark hoodie. He was taking pictures before he started messing with it. Is he still there? Yes, he's still working on it. You need to send someone right away before he does real damage. Officers are on their way. Please tell them to hurry. We have no idea what he's doing to our water system. And just listen to the words Carol used. Suspicious, tampering, vandalism, terrorism, sabotage. She chose every word to make it sound like this black man working on a hydrant was a major threat. It never crossed her mind that he might be fixing it. She never considered that a guy in running clothes with a fitness watch might just be a jogger who saw a problem. She didn't even think to just open her window and ask him what he was doing. She saw a black man and immediately jumped to crime. And the 911 operator took her assumptions as solid facts and sent armed police officers to confront a firefighter who was just doing his job. Officers Mark Riley and Jessica Evans got the call at 6:21 a.m. Suspicious person messing with a fire hydrant. Possible vandalism or terrorism. Black man in athletic wear. Has tools. Is actively working on city property. They pulled up at 6:25 a.m. and saw exactly what the dispatcher had told them. A black man in running clothes, on his knees next to a fire hydrant with a wrench in his hand. From where they were standing, based on their training and their own biases, they saw a suspect. They got out of their car, hands close to their guns, and walked up, barking commands. "Get away from the hydrant. Drop the wrench." Andre stands up, still holding the tool because the order came so fast he didn't have time to process it. He sees two cops coming toward him, sees their hands hovering near their weapons, and sees the kind of body language that tells him they think he's a threat. "Officers, hold on. I'm a firefighter. I was just fixing it." "Put the wrench down. Now!" Andre carefully places the wrench on the grass, puts his hands up, and speaks in a clear, calm voice. The exact way he'd been taught by other black men who have survived encounters with the police. "I'm a firefighter with Engine House 22. This hydrant was malfunctioning. I repaired it." Officer Riley stops about 10 feet away, his face full of skepticism. "You're a firefighter? Then where's your uniform? Your truck?" "I'm off duty. I was out for a jog and saw the hydrant was broken. I'm trained in hydrant maintenance. I'm a fire equipment specialist. I fixed it to stop a public safety risk." Officer Evans moves to Andre's side, taking up a standard tactical position. "So you just happened to be jogging by and thought you'd start working on city property?" "Yes, hydrants are literally my job. This one had a loose bonnet and a misaligned valve stem. In a fire, it would have failed. I fixed the problem." Officer Riley's expression makes it clear he doesn't buy it. A black man in running clothes working on city equipment in a rich neighborhood at the crack of dawn. The story just sounded too perfect. "You got any ID? Anything to prove you're a firefighter?" Andre nods. "Yes, it's in my pocket. I'm reaching for my wallet now." He moves slowly, with purpose, pulls out his wallet, and shows them his driver's license and his firefighter ID card. The ID has his picture, his name, his firehouse assignment, and his certification level. Officer Riley takes it, looks it over, and then says the words that tell Andre exactly how this is going to go down. "This could be a fake. Anyone can print an ID card." It's honestly heartbreaking to think about it. He has the very proof they asked for, and it's dismissed out of hand. Andre feels a surge of anger, but he pushes it down. He stays calm, stays professional, because he knows that angry black men get shot by police. So he keeps his cool and tries to reason with them. "It's not fake. Call Engine House 22. Ask for Captain Miller. He'll tell you I work there. Call the fire department dispatch. They've got records of all my certifications. Call the fire marshal's office. My name is in their database. You can check everything I'm telling you." Officer Evans takes out her notepad. "We got a call that you were tampering with the hydrant, taking pictures and using tools from the utility box. I took pictures to document the problem. I used a hydrant wrench from the utility box because that's where they're kept for emergency repairs. I have authorization to get into those boxes. I repaired the hydrant. It was broken. Now it works. You can check it." Just then, a woman in a bathrobe walks up from across the street. It's Carol Peterson. She's the one who called 911, and she wants to see how it all plays out. "Officers, thank you for getting here so fast. I'm the one who called. This man has been tampering with our hydrant." Andre turns to her and tries to explain. "Ma'am, I wasn't tampering with it. I was repairing it. I'm a firefighter. The hydrant was broken, so I fixed it." Carol's face is set, completely unconvinced. He's been out here for 15 minutes doing God knows what to our water system. Who knows what kind of damage he's done? Andre's voice starts to rise, even though he's trying to keep it steady. I fixed it. It was broken. If there was a fire, this hydrant wouldn't have worked. I prevented a disaster. Officer Riley steps toward him. Sir, you need to calm down. I am calm. I'm just trying to explain what happened. Carol speaks to the officers, not to Andre, like he's not even standing there. He doesn't look like a firefighter. He's in jogging clothes. Why would a firefighter be working on a hydrant at 6 o'clock in the morning on his day off? It just doesn't add up. I think he's lying. You can almost see the gears turning in Officer Riley's head. On one side, a white woman, a homeowner, a longtime resident, a concerned citizen. Her word is taken seriously. On the other side, a black man with no uniform and a story that sounds too convenient. An off-duty firefighter who just happens to fix a hydrant while he's jogging. His word needs to be proven. Carol's suspicion is treated as credible, while Andre's credentials are assumed to be fake. And just like that, the decision is made. Sir, turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Andre just stares at him, unable to believe what he's hearing. What? You're arresting me? We're detaining you for investigation of vandalism of public property and possible tampering with municipal infrastructure. Vandalism? I repaired it. Just call the fire department. They'll confirm everything I've said. We'll check out your story down at the station. Check it now. Call my captain. Go check the hydrant. It was broken and now it's not. But Officer Riley is already taking out his handcuffs. Turn around. Andre turns. He feels the cold metal snap around his wrists. He's being arrested, in his running clothes, on a public street in the middle of the morning. For doing his job. For preventing fires. For being a professional who saw a problem and fixed it. Carol watches, looking satisfied. Thank you, officers. You just can't be too careful these days. And Andre, the fire equipment specialist level 3, with 12 years of service, the man who helped write the city's hydrant inspection manual, is led to a police car and put in the back like a common criminal. This is Andre Jackson, a fire equipment specialist with 12 years of experience, a level 3 certified expert in fire suppression systems. He's the guy who stops fires from destroying homes and killing people. And he is being arrested for fixing a broken hydrant that could have failed in an emergency in the same neighborhood that called the police on him. Andre is taken to the police station at 6:50 a.m. He's processed, fingerprinted, and has his mugshot taken. Then he's put in a holding cell, still in his sweaty running clothes. His fitness watch is still on his wrist, showing his 5-mile run that was cut short. He asks to make his phone call, and is told he can have it after the preliminary investigation is done. So he just sits there, and waits, and thinks about the hydrant he fixed, the neighborhood he protected, and the arrest that makes absolutely no sense. At 7:20 a.m., Detective Sam Carter finally gets around to calling Engine House 22. The dispatcher who picks up is Brenda Lewis. She's been with the department for 20 years and knows every firefighter's name. This is Detective Carter, Oakwood PD. We've got an Andre Jackson in custody here. He claims he's one of your firefighters. Can you confirm that? There's a short pause, and then Brenda's voice comes back, sharp and worried. Andre Jackson? Yes, he's one of ours. He's a fire equipment specialist. What's this all about? He was arrested for tampering with a fire hydrant. Tampering? Andre is our hydrant expert. He literally maintains the entire city's hydrant system. He wrote half of our inspection rules. Which hydrant was it? The corner of Cedar Creek Parkway and Maple. Brenda's fingers are already typing away at her keyboard, pulling up the maintenance files. Can you even imagine being in her shoes at that moment? Getting a call that your best guy is in jail for doing the very thing he's celebrated for. Hang on. That hydrant was flagged in our system 2 weeks ago for needing maintenance. Loose bonnet, valve alignment problem. It was on the schedule to be repaired, but we've got a backlog. Is Andre okay? What happened? He was found working on the hydrant. Off duty, no uniform. A resident called it in as vandalism. Working on it? He probably saw it was broken while he was jogging and fixed it. That's who he is. He's trained to do exactly that. Who arrested him? Officers responded to a 911 call. I need to speak to Captain Miller right away. A Captain David Miller gets the call at 7:25 a.m. He's in his office getting ready for the morning shift meeting. When Brenda tells him Andre has been arrested for fixing a hydrant, Miller's reaction is instant and furious. Get me the address of that police station, now! He drives over to the Oakwood Police Department, getting there at 7:50 a.m. He walks into the front lobby in his full fire captain's uniform, with the badge and insignia that show his 22 years of service. I'm here for Andre Jackson. He's one of my firefighters, and you are holding him illegally. Detective Carter comes out to the lobby, sees a very angry fire captain, and knows this situation is getting worse by the minute. Captain, we're just verifying Mr. Jackson's story. He was found tampering with a fire hydrant. Tampering? Andre Jackson is the best equipment specialist in this entire city. He's certified level 3 in fire suppression systems. If he was working on a hydrant, it's because he was fixing it, not vandalizing it. He was off duty, in civilian clothes. A resident called it in as suspicious. Suspicious? Andre jogs every morning. He's been running through Cedar Creek Estates for 4 months. He probably saw a malfunction on his run, and did what he's trained to do. Fix it immediately, because broken hydrants cost lives. We're just verifying. Then verify. Send someone to inspect that hydrant right now. I'll wait. At 8:05 a.m., a fire department inspector, Leo Garcia, shows up at the hydrant on Cedar Creek Parkway and Maple. He takes pictures of it, runs tests, and checks the repair work. Then he calls Captain Miller. Captain, I'm at the hydrant. It was definitely malfunctioning. Loose bonnet, misaligned valve stem, a leak at the base connection. Somebody repaired it. It's a professional job, too. Clean work. The torque on the bonnet is perfect. The valve alignment is dead on. The pressure is back to normal. If this hydrant hadn't been fixed and a fire broke out around here, we would have had a major problem, possibly a fatal one. Captain Miller puts the call on speaker so Detective Carter can hear every word. Inspector Garcia, in your professional opinion, did the person who repaired this hydrant know what they were doing? Without a doubt. This is expert-level work. Whoever did this has serious training in hydrant systems. And if this hydrant had stayed broken and a fire had started? We would have lost water pressure. We wouldn't have been able to fight the fire effectively. With houses this big and this close together, we could have easily lost multiple homes and potentially lives if anyone was trapped inside. Captain Miller looks straight at Detective Carter. Andre Jackson prevented a disaster, and you arrested him for it. Get him out of that cell, now. Andre is brought out of the holding cell at 8:20 a.m., after being in custody for nearly 2 hours. He's exhausted, humiliated, and furious, but he's still holding on to the composure that kept him safe during the arrest. Detective Carter's expression is cautious, already trying to cover his bases. Mr. Jackson, you're free to go. The fire department has confirmed your employment and that you performed a legitimate repair on the hydrant. We apologize for the inconvenience. Andre just stares at him. Inconvenience. That's the word he uses. Inconvenience? You arrested me for doing my job, for stopping a fire that could have killed people. You didn't believe my ID. You didn't believe what I told you. You didn't call my captain when I asked you to. You believed a woman who saw a black man and just assumed he was a criminal. That's not an inconvenience. That's racial profiling. Captain Miller puts a hand on Andre's shoulder. Let's go, Andre. I'll give you a ride home." As they walk out, Miller turns back to the detective. "We will be filing a formal complaint, and you can be sure our city attorney will be hearing about this." Later that day, when Captain Miller files his complaint, he asks for Carol Peterson's 911 call history. He finds out she's called the police 13 times in 3 years, 9 of those times on people of color. 0 of those calls led to finding any actual crime. Carol has a clear pattern, and that pattern just cost a firefighter his freedom and nearly cost her own neighborhood its fire protection. Andre Jackson did everything by the book. He saw a problem. He used his professional training to fix it. He documented it. He was about to report it. He stopped a potential catastrophe. And he was arrested. Not because he did anything wrong, but because he was a professional doing his job while being black, in a neighborhood that couldn't comprehend that a black man in running clothes could be an expert in anything. His official firefighter ID was called a fake. His technical explanation was called too convenient. His request to have them verify his story on the spot was ignored in favor of arresting him first and asking questions later. But Carol Peterson's suspicion? That was taken as fact, without a single question. Her fear was validated. Her 911 call was acted on immediately because in the messed up math of American policing, a white person's fear is worth more than a black person's credentials. 8 weeks later, the lawsuit is filed. Jackson versus the City of Oakwood, officers Mark Riley and Jessica Evans, and Carol Peterson. The lawsuit lists unlawful arrest, false imprisonment, racial profiling, violation of civil rights, malicious prosecution, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and professional defamation. Carol Peterson is named personally for filing a false police report that was motivated by racial bias. The city looks at the evidence, the Bodycam footage that shows Andre calmly explaining exactly what he was doing, his firefighter ID that was dismissed as a fake, his requests to verify his story that were ignored, Carol's 911 call history that shows a clear pattern of targeting people of color. Inspector Garcia's report confirming the hydrant was broken, and Andre fixed it perfectly, potentially saving lives. The city had no defense. It was indefensible from every possible angle. The settlement talks take 11 months. The city knows it has no chance of winning, not based on the facts, not based on the public perception, not based on the clear pattern of bias. The settlement is for $4.2 million. $800,000 goes to Andre for the civil rights violations, the emotional distress, the professional humiliation, and the income he lost from missing shifts because of the trauma. The other $3.4 million is for punitive damages. A message, a price tag put on the assumption that a black professional must be a criminal. Officer Mark Riley gets a 90-day suspension without pay, is forced to take bias training, gets a permanent mark on his record, and is required to do community service with the fire department to understand what they do. Officer Jessica Evans gets a 30-day suspension, bias training, and a formal written reprimand. She followed Riley's lead, but should have questioned his judgment. Carol Peterson is held personally liable for $75,000, which is paid through her homeowner's insurance. She is required to complete a racial bias education course and is publicly named in the lawsuit, which makes her an outcast in her own neighborhood when people find out her false call cost the city millions. Detective Sam Carter gets a written reprimand for waiting so long to verify Andre's credentials. He should have called the fire department right away instead of processing him first. The fire department creates a new policy. All firefighters are given new wallet cards with an emergency verification number that goes straight to dispatch for immediate confirmation of their employment and credentials. The police department creates a new protocol. When a person claims to be a professional, officers are now required to verify it immediately before making an arrest. They can't just dismiss a professional ID as fake without even trying to check it. The city creates a database of repeat 911 callers. After 3 calls that don't result in any criminal findings, the caller is flagged for a review. Carol's 13 calls trigger an immediate investigation. The Cedar Creek Estates Homeowners Association is required to hold community education workshops on racial bias and the proper use of 911 after the city threatened to hold the HOA partly responsible for creating the kind of environment that led to the false call. Officer Mark Riley wasn't some uniquely evil person. Carol Peterson wasn't some cartoonishly racist villain. They were regular people acting inside a system that constantly tells them that black people in certain places are suspicious by default. Riley saw a black man working on city equipment and couldn't wrap his head around the idea that he was a professional doing his job. Carol saw a black man in her neighborhood and couldn't imagine he could possibly belong there. They both acted on assumptions that probably seemed perfectly reasonable to them because the system backs up those assumptions every single day. But Andre Jackson was the one who paid the price. He was arrested, humiliated, and locked in a cell for 2 hours for preventing a disaster. His expertise was ignored, his credentials were questioned, and his professional judgment was treated like a crime. $4.2 million can't fix that. It can't erase the memory of being put in handcuffs. It can't give him back the assumption of competence that his white colleagues get to take for granted. But it can force things to change. It can create accountability. It can build new systems that demand verification before assumption. It can make the next false accusation more expensive than the system is willing to pay. And sometimes, that's the only kind of justice you can get when your only crime was being a professional while black. Andre Jackson spent 12 years becoming an expert in fire suppression systems. He fixed a broken hydrant that could have failed in an emergency and cost people their lives. He protected a neighborhood from a potential disaster. And he was arrested for it, all because a woman saw a black man working on city property and assumed he was a vandal instead of a public servant. The $4.2 million settlement was huge. But the reforms were even more important. The new verification rules, the 911 caller accountability, the training to recognize professional expertise no matter what a person is wearing. So here's what I want to ask you. Should Carol Peterson have faced criminal charges for filing a false report instead of just a fine? Should repeat 911 callers who show a pattern of racial bias be banned from calling unless it's a true life-or-death emergency? And should off-duty firefighters have legal protection when they perform emergency repairs? Let me know what you think in the comments. This story proves that your professional credentials don't mean a thing when someone's bias is stronger than the evidence right in front of them. But it also shows that documentation is key, that systems of verification can be built, and that accountability can be won. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next story. Ultimately, judging another person based on the color of their skin or the clothes they wear says nothing about their worth. But it says everything about your own character. To deny someone their dignity and expertise is to reveal a profound poverty in one's own soul. True strength lies in seeing the humanity and potential in everyone, not in projecting our fears onto others. This is the lesson we must all learn to build a world where everyone is seen for who they truly are.